a park and some pals, and there's also therapy too.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Park Pals. Thank you so much for waiting a week for part 2, but we just have so much information that we have to get to you. Please welcome back Chris Carr.
Hey, everybody.
All right. Again, so we are on Bus Tour, written by Aisha Muhar and Alan Yang, directed by Dean Holland. We left off where she's at the elementary school. These kids are being read Groffle the Awful Waffle. I love the question so much. How did he get across the Syrup River? This cute gal that answers this question, or asks this question rather, is named Avery Phillips. And she was in quite a few things after this. She was in Glee also, which is kind of funny because Mike O'Malley was too. And so that was, but she was in Glee in 2010, which would have been 2 years prior to Parks. But I just think that's so funny. And let's see. She was also in this movie with, how do you pronounce her name? Saoirse Ronan?
Saoirse Ronan.
Saoirse. Okay, Ronan. And Cynthia Nixon, called Stockholm, Pennsylvania. It looked so amazing, like the trailer. But I think it was doing well at all the film festivals. I saw that it had been there and gotten some awards, or nominated at least. But I don't know. I don't remember it being out in theaters, but maybe I just missed it. I don't know. But either way, great cast. So anyways, this camera catching the other kid's scrunched up face, that little boy, is so freaking cute. And in the director's cut, he had a cut scene, actually. I think he had some lines, and we might speculate. You'll hear a little bit later on maybe why it was cut, but maybe not. I don't know. We'll just speculate. I'll save that for later. But for now, I'll play the deleted scene. This kid's name is Lucas Martin, by the way.
Yes. How did Groffle cross the Syrup River? And why did you call Mr. Newport a jerk?
Well, when I called him a jerk, I didn't know that he had passed into candy heaven.
Do you still think he's a jerk? And you didn't answer the syrup question.
I should not have called.
And then it just continues on. But I just love how they're harping on the syrup question, which brings you to the reporter of quit dodging it. Because in this scene, it's okay, well, she was only asked once, but that makes a little more sense why people were people were asking if she was not answering. Okay. I love that too. I'm not calling Mr. Newport Stalin or Hitler. Apparently this little kid's name, I already said that, Lucas Martin, but he was also a New Girl, with Schmidt's character, and has a super funny role. If you saw a picture of it, you would definitely remember. He's on a bench in a park talking to Schmidt, and I thought that was really funny.
Nice.
Yeah, he did. I love that face. His little eye scrunch thing. It's so funny that the camera caught it. I love it. And then we have another reporter calling this Jerkgate. He was first seen at the debate episode, and his name is James Connor. He was in the spin team room, if you guys remember that. And I hope he reaches out to us. I'd love to hear from him. I did reach out to him, and I talked to his agent, but they just haven't gotten back, so that's okay if he doesn't get back to us. But his name in the show is Eugene Pilo Grimaldi. I guess that's how you pronounce it. Pilo, and then Grimaldi. Pilo Grimaldi, maybe. It's just hilarious, the names that they come up with for these extra or guest stars or recurring guest stars. It's freaking hilarious. I don't know how they do it.
It's great.
Okay, this other reporter, the one that says quit ducking the question, did Groffle use a boat of some kind? I love that so much. It's so hilarious. Her name is Brenda Canella, and she was amazing. She was in Little Miss Sunshine, Year of the Dog in 2007, CSI, a couple of other things. She did a great job, and she sent in a voice memo too.
Yes.
We love.
First of all, thank you so much for having me on. What a super sweet, fun surprise to be asked to do this so many years later. I love it. Man, my scene was with Amy Poehler, Adam Scott, and Chris Pratt. I mean, what? Wow. No, everybody was professional and super kind, and it was just very comfortable working with them. And because we were filming in a school setting during her tour, it was in a room with a lot of little kids as well. And I do remember that there was a particular little boy in the scene. There was also another reporter, but the kids were there, and one of the kids constantly kept laughing in like the most inopportune times. And I remember that the director had to kind of stop maybe 4 or 5 times to give him a little pep talk on like, hey, let's maybe do this, you know. So but you know, there were kids, everybody was very patient, but it was really funny. And I think you might be able to pick them out if you really pay attention. It's very quick, but there was maybe a kid who's got a little smirk, and that was the one that was constantly laughing during these moments. But yeah, no, it was a really nice time. Everybody was great. Thank you for saying that. You know, the show is hilarious. It's really the writing. I mean, that reporter was fixated on asking about Groffle the Waffle. I mean, that's the absurdity of it. And I think that, you know, I played it the way they wrote it. I feel, and I just knew that if I kept playing her so straight and so serious with such intensity, you know, like as if she were asking something about some global issue that was, you know, going to make or break her candidacy. I mean, the straighter I played her, the more intense and the funnier it was, I think. And it worked, thankfully. So, you know, yeah, I mean, it was fun. The other reporter, I think, was focused on her scandal or something. My God, it's just, yeah, the whole thing was very fun. We were on location, I do remember, but we did have to go to CBS Radford. That's where we had to, you know, do hair, makeup, and we had breakfast and the whole bit. And then we were bused to a nearby elementary school for the scene. I do remember, and I'm gonna shamefully admit that when I filmed this, I had yet to watch every single episode. Yeah, I know. I had only, you know, caught bits and pieces, and I thought the world of the actors, but I wasn't up on the show yet, you know. So when I went to have breakfast first thing in the morning, Jim O'Hare approached me and was just so kind, and like, I don't even know what we chatted about, but we chatted, you know, over like serving our omelets, you know, like before anybody ever started, you know, working that day. And he was just so kind, and we chatted, and I don't know, he was asking me about me, but I had no idea that he was a regular on the show, and come to find out later that we have the same representation. So that's even more embarrassing. But I don't know. I mean, it happens like that. And I think in the end, it's kind of probably better that I didn't have any preconceived, you know, I don't know, whatever about all of the show, all of them or anything, you know, just kind of go in and did my thing. I know you do anyway, but at least I didn't have that in my brain yet. But eventually, yes, I did watch every single episode, every single season. And my God, was I so grateful to be a part of the show. So good. But yeah, you know, it was a great time. So good memories for sure. I took some time off when I had my daughter, and I took a little bit of a hiatus to raise her, homeschool her, and then COVID happened and made it a little longer. I kind of went back into working in education a little bit, but you know, always have sort of my foot in the door. I haven't quite closed the door on you know, going back and getting back in there. So I'll be back. I'll be back and do it again. But for now, yeah, this was super nice. Thank you so much.
Yay, she was so nice and funny.
So
I want to talk to her and be
sweet.
her
Yeah.
friend.
Absolutely. I love that honesty too of just, I hadn't watched it.
Totally. Well, and I wrote this note as she was talking too. Like that's by this time it was like almost over of season 4. So like that's 60 something whatever episodes, maybe 40 to watch before you get on the show. So like there wasn't streaming back then. It's not like you could go on Peacock and just catch up on everything. So like
yeah, you had to borrow someone's DVDs of the previous seasons.
Literally. So I totally get it. And the way that she was talking about like it was probably better that she didn't have that like preconceived notion about Jim O'Heir and the show itself. Like she just played it straight the way that it was written. It worked out so perfectly and so good. And that's why she said that, because I like specifically said I loved your line reading on that. It was so good. Like, did he use a boat of some kind? And that's why she said thanks for saying that. But yeah, so that kid, I'm thinking that's the kid that got cut. I'm thinking because from having watched it so many times, I think that's the only one that they show. And I'm sure that's not necessarily like why they cut it. They cut a lot of people, as I mentioned in part 1. They cut people in the next episode too, Win, Lose, or Draw, the finale. So that might not be why. But either way, I'm glad that they left that little piece in, because he makes me laugh regardless of that, with that little smirk, you know?
Yeah. It's great.
But yes, thank you, Brenda, so much for sending in that voice memo. That was so awesome to hear that, BTS. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Also, I love, maybe there was a fun run, because at the end it's you hear the reporter saying, "Are we to assume he swam across the river?" And for those of you new here, the fun run is where they do the couple takes, they get what they need to get, and then the directors say, like, just have fun with it, maybe improvise a little bit. And so I'm wondering if that one reporter improvised that in the fun run, or maybe they just pitched him that joke. I don't know. But alert, I have an answer to how Groffle crossed the syrup river. Breaking news. Oh my gosh, listen.
Yeah, I'm never going to get away from these Nick Newport questions. And it is very clear in the book that Groffle crosses the Syrup River on the Butter Bridge.
Well, maybe you need to start acting a little bit more like Groffle the Waffle when he was nice to McDuff and the Muffin, a.k.a. Bobby Newport. You guys need to apologize. Stop campaigning.
Okay, fine.
I just love that BTS there of the muffin, McDuffin, the muffin, or whatever the hell, and then a butter bridge. Can you imagine? The imagery went crazy with that. I was imagining those little like butter balls or whatever that you have at the fancy places, of like that's how the bridge was made, like a little fence or something.
See, that's much more beautifully detailed. I just imagine the actual stick still with the paper on it.
Honestly, that makes more sense as a bridge. Hello? I was just going crazy with my imagery. Like, it's perfectly crafted, like an architect made this butter thing. No, I'm sure it was.
I love that, though. That's stunning.
But anyways, I just thought that was so cool that they put that in the deleted scene. So you heard it here first. The butter bridge is how Groffle got across the Syrup River. Okay, great. Anyhow, Ben takes Leslie out of this place because it's getting hostile, whatever. And you can see Leonard Robinson, we mentioned in part 1, the cop that got the cutscene that was on Insecure. You can see him in the background of this scene, like him watching over everything. So like, he is in there, but so if you see that, that's where he is, and that's who he is. And go back to part 1 and listen to his deleted scene if you haven't yet. But anyway, they're discussing the apology. Anna's standing firm on just apologize, no cameras, just be like a decent human. And this like whole next thing that Leslie has of this hypocrisy is so funny. Like, this is not about you. A man is dead. God. It's just such good writing for Leslie. Oh, so good. Okay. So now Bill from the BBB rental place is being an ass and laughing at Ron's comment about a man's word being sacred. And then Ron wants to match it. What an amazing show of solidarity for Ron, and like so hard, because obviously he doesn't want to do that, and he would be doing this for like a government cause. You know what I'm saying? Like such a great show of strength and friendship and like integrity for Ron. I love that so much.
Oh, and also it just pops up as a little reminder too of, Oh yeah, Ron is loaded.
Yes.
And I
Ron
think
has
it's
a
something
random $10,000.
Yeah, I constantly forget about it. And then I'm like, oh yeah, there's so much gold buried on his property.
Yep.
All those savings from food and stuff. They add up. They add up over time.
Totally. I know, because they mention it very briefly, I feel, before this, you know, like they talk about like when Tammy 1 came, they're like, that was decoy gold or whatever, you know? Oh my gosh, that's such a good reminder. And the writers did say that they wanted each person, especially throughout the course of this campaign, they wanted each character to show a sacrifice for Leslie. And you kind of get that, you know, that's a little bit of foreshadowing, but this is Ron's and then Donna's Mercedes. You know, that's a sacrifice. That's her baby. So yeah, you kind of see these people giving up their really hard-earned time and, you know, sense of self to be for her, which it really leads well into the next episode when she says, like, I want you guys to win too. Like, if I lose, like, you guys lost. And then Ron has his other integrity moment. It's just like so beautiful. So that definitely deserves some props. But now the price has gone up. It's no longer $10,000. It is $12,000 or $15,000 or whatever the hell he decides to do, which is so crazy.
What an absolute see you next Tuesday. What a horrible. And I say this as somebody who deeply loves Mike O'Malley.
Of course.
In this scene, I'm just like, oh, you son of a bitch. Like, he's so good at playing this prick. Oh.
I know. It makes you so fucking angry. Oh my God, I totally get it. And also, like, I don't know, this is petty, but the way that they costumed him was so fucking perfect. Like his dumbass white t-shirt with his like drab, gross brown tie, like just pits of like bad humanity.
Yeah.
Okay, so on to the next. Now we're getting 10 minutes alone with Bobby. But we found that it is a total trap because the funeral is happening. There's a bagpipe playing, flower wreath. Leslie's big face on the side of the bus is coming through. And it's timed so perfectly because as Jen Barkley is saying this is not a time for politics, their bus comes rolling through. It's so perfect.
It's so well executed. And again, just like we've talked about with like the bummer moment too, it's another one of those perfectly cringy moments of, oh, it's Murphy's Law. Everything that could go wrong has gone wrong.
Yes.
It's so well done.
Total like Schadenfreude. Because she knocks over the wreath and then the portrait gets stuck on the back of the bus. And Jen Barkley Catherine Hahn is so good being like dramatic of like, I feel like we're losing him all over again. It's so good. And she doesn't give a shit. Like
No. It's brilliant.
Oh my God. And then they did talk about Adam Scott was actually on the other podcast as well, Parks and Recollection. And and Jim O'Hare talks about it too, like how they just could not stop laughing in that bus tour or like in the bus when they were shooting that scene in particular because they had to like jerk around. And I did ask Shauna, I emailed Shauna, who is Shauna Hagen, who is my favorite camera operator ever. But she hasn't messaged me back yet. I'm sure she'll get back to me. She is actually working on a show called Somewhere, Somebody Somewhere, I think. Shoot. And it's on HBO and it just got nominated for something. And she is like, yeah, Somebody Somewhere. And the comedian Bridget Everett is in it. Yeah, it's so good. And she sings in it too.
Amazing.
It's great.
Yes. Love her.
I do too. She's phenomenal. Oh my God. But anyway, I asked Shauna about it because I wanted to get a firsthand experience of like, who were you in there filming that? That would have been so cool. So hopefully she gets back to me, but I cannot imagine. Anyways, but then the ending though, that's what makes it even more brilliant when she comes out. Sorry, are we late? Amy Poehler was so good. Okay, I have a location breakdown. You know, that's one of my favorites.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so this is the same mansion as the one that they used in Beverly Hillbillies in the 1962 sitcom, which is really interesting.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, it's on Bel Air Road. It's called Chartwell Mansion. Here are some facts. It was built in 1933, and it was the most expensive home for sale in the United States in 2018. And I have to read this from the Wikipedia page. It was just so freaking hilarious on the history. The house was designed by Summer Spalding in 1933 in the style of a French chateau. It was built for engineer and contractor Lynn Atkinson, who commissioned the property for his wife. She found it pretentious, so the couple never lived there. I added in the tone, but there were quotes around pretentious, and I thought that was freaking
You
hilarious.
made those quotes sing, baby. That was such a good read. You made that word sound like what it means. Chef's kiss.
Oh, so funny. I just love that. So the couple never lived there. Oh my God, hilarious.
Yeah.
But, okay, this is the real tea, okay? So in 2019, the mansion was sold to Lachlan Murdoch of the Murdoch family for $150 million, which was the highest sale price for any house in California history. For those of you who don't know, because I actually didn't really know all of their names until I started watching Succession and was told that it was based off the Murdoch family. It's the one who owns Fox News, and a bajillion other media news outlets across the world.
Yeah.
The main guy, Rupert Murdoch, is actually Australian, by the way, which seems wild to me. And then he like gave up his Australian citizenship to become American to like do all these other things. And I was like, what? And so I clicked on his name. His net worth is $21.7 billion as of March 2nd, 2022, which means, this is the kicker, he's the 31st richest person in the United States and the 71st richest person in the world, according to Forbes. So there are richer people than $21.7 billion. In fact, here there's 30 more. No, hate it, kill it, hate it. Oh my God. Don't kill it. Sorry. I didn't say that. But it just.
Straight to jail. Straight to jail.
Straight to jail.
That's how I feel.
What I meant. Straight to jail. So crazy. But yeah, this was, and he bought this, and just FYI, I think Lachlan is the son, I want to say, or nephew maybe. Either way, the Murdoch family did not come into it until 2019. So that was well before Parks had anything to do with it. So it's not tainted from this show, okay? I just want you guys to be aware of that. But oh my God, which, that led me to believe, like, ask, even before the Murdoch family was involved, like, how much did it cost Parks to rent this? Like, did they get a deal on this? Or like, hot damn, it was already an expensive ass mansion,
Yeah. Well, location scouting out here it truly is nuts. It really is ridiculous. When we were filming some stuff, gosh, like 2 years ago. And when I say filming some stuff, like short films for my students kind of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe a 5-minute scene. People's quotes for things were outrageous.
That's
because we
nuts.
did need a school. And it was, okay, well, if we book something like on a weekend or anything like this, and it's a skeleton crew where, including cast, it's only 7 people on set, it was still people quoting us minimums of like $500 an hour and this kind of deposit. And we'd be like, well, we're not even going to be there for a full hour. So,
Yeah. Wow.
but it'd still be like, oh yeah, if you want to use one of our like classrooms, like one of our portables, it's going to be like a minimum of $1,200. Go. What?
For like 30 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can't even imagine what these people have to spend to get those kinds of things because of the insurance and all of that around it too. Oof.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, when you go inside, it totally is worth it. Obviously, it totally looks like the Newport house and what Sweetums would be. And like all the candy jars that they have, like the glass clear candy jars are so beautifully done. And like the marble columns and all that stuff, big staircase.
Mhm.
But still, I was like, that is nuts. So if anyone's in Bel Air and wants to look up the Chartwell Mansion, that's what it is. And I'm sure you can't drive past it, but you might be able to see like the gate or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy though. I remember when I lived in LA, like there were a couple times that I'd have to go to Beverly Hills for whatever the fuck reason. And like sometimes Waze would take you like in these little back ways, through these mansions. And It's wild because a lot of them have like privacy, not only privacy trees and stuff, but like fortress type walls. So that, you can't see anything. And like, I can't imagine how much money that costs to put up a whole fucking like castle wall basically to hide your house.
It's nuts. Yeah. I cut through Beverly Hills to get to when I'm doing Harloff's show.
Oh.
I like cut through that because it's faster. And yeah, it's insane driving through those neighborhoods.
Oh my God. It is so nuts. And then like you think about that and then you think about the Hollywood Hills as well. Like just nuts how they're putting that on top of not structurally sound things.
No. That's why Sorry, side quest. When people are like, I don't understand like why people are freaking out about mudslides in LA. Well, because all of our fancy houses are built on a slip and slide. So that's why when it rains a tiny bit here, we're all going to die.
Yeah. Yeah, those cliffs are no joke.
This is a horrible thing. No, it's
Canyons,
terrifying.
No.
Yeah. Nothing is structurally sound. It's expensive and barely working.
It ain't cute.
No.
Although it is beautiful on a good day.
I mean, truly. If you're going to be stuck in traffic, it is nice to see like really beautiful homes like that and really beautiful landscapes. But at the same time, you go, that is a 2-inch rainfall away from collapsing.
Absolutely. Oh my God, so true. Actually, yeah, another side quest really briefly is like if you guys are in Nashville or when you visit Nashville, I'll have to drive you around. There are very like similar, especially where I live. There are especially, I'm in obviously like the apartment from the 1970s that is rent controlled and not this like new age, glass building shit. But like there are so many houses here that are like going for $1 million or more that are just massive mansion things. And I mean, I found this out when I was doing Uber Eats. I was just driving and I was like, oh my God, I did not realize like they're very similar to LA where like they have, it's not necessarily fortress walls, but like, they have these like huge ass gates and like for Nashville, I find, and I'm sure that in LA too, but for Nashville, I find you'll see like a gate leading to a driveway that like disappears as you look up. You're like, where did that go? And it's like all the way up this huge hill thing that it must be set on,
Dang.
So, anyways, that must be nice. Okay, moving on. Also, though, not so much because it snows here. And that must suck because they have to either rent a snow plow or something. Or they can't get down there. So anyways. Yeah. Okay. So Jen Barkley is being Jen Barkley and making sure that she's going to get paid. Like, it's just so funny. It is a little sus that it was a handshake agreement. Like, just because Jen is very thorough,
Yeah.
So I would think that she'd want to sign something. But maybe it was just such a stupid amount of money that she was like, okay, yeah, just keep it coming. Ben is like turning this on Jen, saying, I can't believe you're going to turn this into a political sideshow. And Jen's like, I love this line so much. And because for the first time, we're kind of with her. We're like, you were going to do the same thing. And I'm just smarter and faster. That is not a judgment. That is just a fact. I love that so much.
Her confidence is astounding. I love it. She's
so
the best.
Good. It's so good. Oh my God. And just like the no personal, like this isn't personal. This is just a job. Oh my God, I love polka dots after I just screwed you over.
Yeah.
It's so good. Also, I have a quick question. Leslie said that she brought a fruit basket and it was very classy. No melons, no apples. Why is that more classy? Is it because apples are like cheap and like basic and everybody gets apples?
Maybe. I mean, they brown quickly. And then melon is usually kind of just the discarded garbage fruit that no one ends up eating at most things.
Okay.
I don't know. I have a very Ron Swanson approach to it of like, I'll eat melon as long as meat's wrapped around it. Like,
bacon wrapped melon. That would be fun.
Yeah. If you give me some prosciutto and melon, hell yeah. Let's go. You give me some melon. Why do you hate me?
Okay. Fair enough. I'll buy that. Anne is being such a good voice of reason here, as she always is. Like, she really does, like, she is a part of the team. And I also love that sassy thing of like, yeah, we would never do that. I can't even imagine it. And she's being like sarcastic. I love that. Okay, yeah. So April is now having that moment with Kris saying everything's gonna be okay. Like, just stop moving, because Kris did all these tasks that he did not need to do. And April says, I kind of am mad at April here, but it is just her character, whatever, where she says, like, you dodged a bullet with Anne. And I'm just like, okay, cool it. All right. But I do also get that April's trying to like turn it around and be positive for Kris, which is also like, that's a whole other thing, because she hasn't, like, in this last couple of episodes, she has been trying to be more friendly, and she hugs Kris at the telethon thing or campaign call and gives him the movie tickets. Like, so I get that's part of her growth, but I'm like, you don't have to diss Anne to help Kris. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, it gets to a point of, we get it. Your boyfriend, husband now, like, kissed her once while you guys were figuring things out. Oh, he used to date her. We get it. Be a grown up.
Yeah. It's
Be a grown up because he picked you.
Right. And they don't even like, you forget that they even dated. You know what I mean? Like Anne and Andy even dated. So it's just like, stop it.
So much so that they make jokes in the show of like, oh my God, I dated you.
Literally. Oh my God. Yeah. It's just kind of overplayed, I feel.
Yeah.
But I guess that other side, like I was saying, is, you know, she's trying to be helpful. But no, I don't like that kind of help, like tearing someone else down so that the other person feels better. That is a thing and that is a tactic, but it ain't cute and that's not right. No. Whatever. So anyways, now we're moving on. Oh, I do before we do that, I love Kris's like, thank you. I'm not fine. It didn't work. That is funny. I do that all the time. I'm just like, okay, thank you. Nope. False.
No.
Okay, now we're moving on to one of the cutest, best parts with Paul Rudd of bowling. It's so brilliant, the writing here. I can't stand it. Oh my God, he's playing the Wii bowling. And this is what I love about Parks and the Office and shows like Modern Family and stuff, where like they start on the image of him in the video game, and you don't know until they zoom out that he's next to a bowling alley. That reveal is so good. It's funny. Oh my God.
It's precious. I love that. Just like I like this more.
The little guy looks like me. He's such a child too. He's such a little baby toddler where he's like, want to play bowling? Paul Rudd is so good at being like a little kid here. And he's like a sad little kid. Oh my God. It's great. And then doing the same wave as the guy. Oh my God, so good. But I do like that they gave him this moment. You know, Bobby has a vulnerable time and says he only did this campaign to impress his dad, and his dad probably didn't even care. And then Leslie tells this beautiful story. I love it. It's so heartfelt. You know, she did the race. She did track in high school, and she was trying to relate to Bobby about maybe failing in front of your parents, even though you want to impress them, but they're proud of you anyway. And I just love that Bobby, like we've talked about this similarity before, Bobby has a very Andy moment where he's like, oh, I don't get it, but I'm not sure I understand the point. And basically Leslie's just saying that I'm sure your dad was proud of you, which I think is really nice. I like it.
It's a very sweet moment, and it needs to happen because there's just so much unlikable behavior in this episode. There really is, between her and Ben, of just like playing the politics of it. And I feel like we get away from who these people are a little bit, where they lose the forest for the trees kind of thing, right? Of, well, we got to get those points, we got to close that gap. And I think if we didn't have this kind of moment at the end here, it'd leave a bad taste in your mouth about how the campaign was turning them.
I totally agree. That's a great point. Yes, very necessary here. Which also leads, again, why it's great writing, which leads to Bobby being his normal self of like kind of getting things back on track too, of then him saying, of him flip-flopping, kind of like stealing her story, but then asking her to come up and be with him while he like basically promotes her, endorses her.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Also, did you notice in the background, I love this, there's a martini glass of gummy bears. It's like a big martini glass, and there's gummy bears.
Oh, that's great.
Oh my God. My mom sent me an edible arrangement once, and it was in this like really cute little green martini glass thing. And since then I had used it for my cat's water, and they love it so much. It's so hilarious. Where like I would put a bowl out, like if I was gonna be gone for like a couple days or whatever, I just leave out food and water, and like to the point where they wouldn't drink anything that was in that bowl. It was just they only drank out of the martini glass. And I was like, oh my God,
they're fancy.
They're fancy, you know, like mother, like daughter. But since that's the sad part too, that martini glass broke recently, and I'm really sad about it. I'll have to get
How'd the cats take it?
I think they're confused. They've gotten used to it, but they're confused. Now it's just like a cute little bowl with a flower on it. Boring.
Okay.
All right. So Ron calls the van guy a bunko artist. And I wanted to know where that came from because I did not know that bunko is a dice game. Did you know that? A lot of people know that. And I didn't know that. Yeah, it's like a more of a gambling game, right?
My mom played it. She had a bunko group.
Oh, what? That's so cool.
They did bunko and Pokino.
Pokino. All right.
It's like
I've never even heard of that one
poker
either.
thing.
Is it still a card game or is it a dice game?
I believe it's dice.
Okay. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, that's what
I
Bunko
wasn't allowed
is.
there. I dropped off snacks and I would be told to leave.
Oh, wow. One of those.
Yeah.
They were having their mom moment.
Our neighborhood ladies were known as the Capstone Cougars. And that was the Cougars would get together and play bunco and gossip and shit talk.
Oh my God. That sounds incredible.
It was great.
Yeah. Honestly, that sounds like a life to live. Okay. Sounds good.
Marie Carr just like does queen shit all the time.
Yeah.
She's just
love it.
I love her. I love Tiny Boss.
Lovely. Good job, Marie.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently it was a common expression, the bunco artist things, that started in the 1800s for scam artists, swindler, that kind of thing. I actually think it originated from the game bunco, but, it could have been more to it than that. But that's all I could really find because obviously gambling, there's always sneaky shit happening on those types of games. But anyhow, I just thought that was funny because I didn't know what it was. So anyways, this is the part where Donna makes her sacrifice, where Bill rams into Donna's Mercedes because she's blocking them. And that is a huge mistake. No. Awful. And then this is obviously where Donna shows how much she loves Leslie. She rams into his car. Also, like, I don't know. It's just kind of funny to me because could you tell that, or at least, I don't know if you guys got this, but I felt like there was definitely room for him to go around her. I was like, this is the ramp thing all over again because in that episode, it's literally like 2 seconds of them bringing out this massive ramp that should have taken maybe like 30 minutes to set up, and it was just like a quick cut. It's like, I get it. It's the show, but there was definitely room. Plus, we had to show that Donna was sacrificing, so I get it.
Exactly.
But yeah. And then Ron's line, oh my God, that is so hilarious. When the bunco guy, what's his name? Bill, I think, in the show, Mike O'Malley, says, what about you, Mr. A Man's Word is Sacred? Well, it is, but you're an asshole. So good.
It's great.
Also, nowadays, I feel like there would be cameras and stuff, so they could probably, prove that that's what happened. But I am always on the side of the show where I'm trying to find excuses for them. And I think the excuse for this would be that dude is cheap. So he probably doesn't want to pay for security cameras. And number two,
sketchy.
And sketchy. So he probably wouldn't have that.
Yeah.
But also number two, this was in like 2012. So it's not nearly as much. Like Ring wasn't really as big then, or I don't even know if it was around. There were security cameras, but it wasn't as prominent. So that's my excuse for them. Okay. And then, so Burt Macklin now has a great stroke of genius. Andy knows who to look for, which I think is a really lovely moment for us to see Andy solve a crime or like solve a problem at all.
It's so nice when he gets moments of being competent.
Yes.
When he stumbles into competency, it's pretty great.
Yes. Yeah, I think this is kind of the first time, like, well, at least for me analyzing the show, the first like big time that it was like, okay, yeah, he solved a problem. And then that's going to lead into him being smart for April, like when April has to be Leslie at the meetings and stuff. And he says he kind of tricks her into being herself kind of thing. Like that is really lovely to see that arc. So I think this is the start for me. And so Andy says like, to Jerry, go find everyone that Ben's fired because it was meant for Ben. The pie was meant for Ben. And he writes on the screen with permanent marker. Oh, God. It's so brilliant to have that brilliant stroke of genius and then not.
And then that, yeah.
Not so much. Aisha, the writer of this episode, said someone did that in the writer's room, actually. Like used a permanent marker, I think, on the whiteboard maybe. I don't think it was on a TV, but like, which is super easy to do if you're just like moving fast. But I think that's what happened, and that's how it made it into the episode, which is a fun moment. Okay. Oh, yeah, and this is also his line of, Macklin, you son of a bitch. I love it so much. Okay. This is where Bobby is giving a speech to the reporters and steals Leslie's story about track, but changes the ending. Because at first, like we were talking about, we hate him, and we're like, oh, my God, Bobby. But then he does his Bobby thing and invites her up. Which is crazy. Also, in this next scene, did you notice, like, is Kris eating candy? He's at the table when Jen comes up to him.
Yeah.
He's really depressed if that's the case.
Right? He's eating artificial sugar? No.
Yeah. I was like, what? You won't even eat meat or like beef, I should say.
Yeah.
And you're going to eat this? Wow. The microchip has been compromised. Crazy. I just thought that was such a moment that stopped me in my track. I was like, wait a second, what? Because at first I was like, maybe he's just chewing something else. And then I rewinded it to like look at the table and there's candy in front of him. So anyways, crazy. Jen says that her and Kris should have sex because there's 30. Again, my segues are just on point. Just so blunt. 30 bedrooms in this house. There's a dead guy in one, Bobby's in the other, and the rest are empty. What do you say? Oh, Jen! Good job, Jen.
Queen.
I know, queen. I do wonder if this was improvised though. Like at the end when Kris finally is like, okay, why not? And he like, she lifts up his shirt and is like, haven't got all day, honey. Like, I wonder if that was improvised. That would have been a Catherine Hahn wonderful moment, I feel.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are at the tag now. And like I said before, there was a alternate tag, but we'll talk about the aired one first. Let's see. They're outside the mansion after the funeral. There's this quick shot of Sewage Joe, who is played by Kirk Fox, by the way, who was on, what's it called? Jury Duty.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like really freaking hilarious. But I just love Pratt's performance here. Like in his face, you sent a picture of your penis. Oh my gosh. Oh, there was a part I was going to mention too. So they did cut out like a little portion of the beginning of this scene. They originally shot it so that you could see Joe from Sewage before you see Ben and Leslie, like at the top of the mansion or whatever. And you can see him holding the pie. And I'm sure that's why they cut it at first. But I wonder if they were like wondering, should we like give it's quick. So like I'm sure the audience wouldn't catch it immediately. But I'm wondering if they just cut that obviously for time. But if like their original thought was, let's just give them a little like, Easter egg moment for them to foreshadow. But I thought that was interesting. Yeah. And then they say they aren't going to campaign anymore. Oh, yeah. That was in the deleted scene, too, because Leslie is saying, so do you think we should keep campaigning after this? We think we're good. And Ben is like, let's just quit while we're ahead. And I thought that was really important for them to share, like to air, but they didn't air it. So I'm just telling you now, I think that is really important, too. Agreed. Because now everything's good. Yeah. Especially when Anna's like, maybe we're not dead. Like, we're good. And I think like to your point, if they had like kept campaigning, it just would have been a little bit sleazy.
Yeah.
But anyway.
And those aren't the characters we're following.
Right, exactly. Okay, so let's see, where am I at? Oh yeah, so this is when Andy is actually coming up to Kirk Fox. I love this. I would love nothing more than to take you down. And I just love Pratt's performance here of like, oh, Ben, sorry.
Did you know Kirk's stuff on Jury Duty got minimized a little bit because of being recognized?
Really?
Yeah. Which like makes sense though if you're doing jury duty in LA. Yeah, it's very likely you're going to have an actor on there. But he did recognize him as a Parks and Rec actor, basically. And so then it was like, we're going to distance them a little bit. They're not going to interact as much. So like some of the improvised things feel like it's just from like regular, ordinary people, right? As opposed to from an actor.
This makes total sense because remember when I texted you, and I know it's really embarrassing to say this, but like I totally thought Jury Duty was like a scripted thing, even though there was just like things at the disclaimers at the beginning. I knew a lot of those actors, and I just didn't know it was a prank show essentially, because that's the way they shot a lot of The Office, and it was The Office people, and I was like, I don't know. I just did not see it. And I felt so like embarrassed that I thought that way. But then I heard on a podcast that there was like other people that thought that too. And Kirk Fox, that's why I'm saying this, is Kirk Fox is one of the main actors that I recognize that I was like, this is a show because he's in Parks and Rec. Like it's The Office people. It's the Sherverse. Like he's a comedian. Like this is a show. And I was like, oh my God. And then I knew that TikTok gal, and there was a couple people from TikTok that I had seen, and like random like social media people. And I was just like, this guy, I don't know why I didn't think to look it up on like IMDb or something. Like, oh, and one of the one who's like plunging the like shit that James Marsden takes or whatever, he is in like Friends or something, and I recognize he's in something, and I was like, I recognize him, so I was just like, okay, I'm too close to this. Oh my God. But I think it's also because that guy, the main guy, was so almost inhuman in his kindness. The main guy, I was like, he is an angel among God. This can only be written. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah. Well, and listening to the people on that show too talk about how we can't even believe how lucky we got with this guy, of everything they threw at him too, with kind of the intention of getting him to blow up or be weird or be creeped out by people. It was just, no, he's just like one of the best people in existence. And that's also why like so many of the other actors, including James Marsden, were, the joke can't be about him. It can't be about taking advantage of somebody, and it can't be about exploiting somebody and putting them in this situation and making them the butt of the joke. They have to be the hero. And they just lucked out so much by having this absolute hero of a person who played Pixar movies for people so that they didn't feel so weird about their inventions, and would calmly talk to everyone and read sides with James Marsden without
and say that he did the shit in the bathroom.
Yeah.
What? Oh my God, that guy was awesome. And did you see that guy has been in I think he was in some Super Bowl commercial that they did.
He was in a Super Bowl commercial, yeah.
Yeah. So good. I'm so proud.
Which made me very happy. Where it's like, yeah, he's a sweetie. He deserves everything.
Yeah, he does deserve everything. I'd rather see him in a commercial than like Arnold Schwarzenegger in State Farm. Sorry. Anyhow, that's our jury duty moment. Jury duty. I said dirty. Anyway.
Jury dirty.
Jury dirty. All right.
That's a Pawnee sex tape.
Brandy Max stars in.
Brandy Max is doing my latest film, Jury Dirty.
Oh my God. Brilliant. Write that spec script. That'd be great. Okay. So yeah, and I was wondering back to this, how many takes that took too for like this pie in the face, which I think is actually so funny because he is holding the pie in his hand, and like even as an audience member that with that part cut out that I was talking about, like Andy could still see that Joe was holding the pie. He could have so easily taken the pie out of his hand, and they were standing so close to Ben. He could have like gotten them somehow. That's what makes it so funny. But he was so close to Ben, which I'm sure was also for filming purposes to make sure they got it in his face. Just love it. Okay. So this is the whole other thing, the whole other tag, and it's so beautiful. First, there's a tow truck driver in this deleted scene, and his name is John Danon, I think is how you pronounce his name, and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. But he was also on Hacks, Shameless, which is another, like, you know, full circle moment, connection. And This Is Us, a bunch of others. But this is where Donna's Mercedes sacrifice thing really comes into play here. Okay, I'll play it.
Ma'am, you have to get out of the car before I can tow it.
Just give me a minute. It's gonna be okay, Michael.
Michael?
I named my car Michael Fassbender because they're both German and they're both sexy as hell.
Sure.
Donna, I just want to say I will never forget that you did this for me. I know it was a great sacrifice.
What about my sacrifice? I have post-traumatic stress. My hands are shaking a little. You almost lost me, Ron.
We were going 9 miles an hour.
Ma'am, please?
All right. I'll come visit you tomorrow, Michael. Stay sexy for Mama.
That last bit is like a piece of the vehicle is dragging on the ground. So that's what that sound is.
Oh, no.
I am actually so mad that they cut that.
Yeah.
Like, I get the sewage Joe pie. Ew, gross.
Ooh.
I get that needed to be completed, that story, but God, I wish they could have kept that Donna thing in. Michael Fassbender.
So good.
So brilliant. But yeah, so that was the deleted scene. That was the end of the episode. Oh my God. Any last thoughts, questions, concerns, Kris?
Oh man. I mean, big stuff coming up.
Oh my God.
Big stuff coming up around the corner here. This is such a fantastically uncomfortable episode that you have such a visceral experience rewatching it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I kind of forgot about that, of how the first season of this show has that very Office kind of like season 1 unlikability, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of things feel gross sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And we really get away from that as the show finds its own footing. And this is one of the ones, though, where they nail that secondhand embarrassment so perfectly.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just such a good one. And Paul Rudd.
And it's not like you said what?
And I said, and Paul Rudd. Just he's so
Paul
good.
Rudd.
Catherine Hahn, so good. Oh, so great.
Yes. The guest stars that they got here just blended so perfectly into the show,
Mhm.
I feel. I feel like that's really rare. And I'll say that I feel like Parks did really well with this. The Office did really well with this. But Paul Rudd just fits into everything so well. Like when he played Phoebe's husband in Friends, I mean, he just fits so well into those characters. Like he just is such a talent, I feel, and is like so genuine and really great. But anyway, yeah, I just feel like with a lot of these guest stars stuff, it could be easy to be like, oh, they're just visiting, like they'll be gone soon kind of thing. But they just blended so well with the whole ensemble. It was really lovely to see. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like with The Office, it's like, I don't know, some of those cringy moments are like, I can't watch this. Like some of the, even Charles, some of those like those cringy, like so cringy to the point where I'm just like, this is so awkward for me as a viewer and so terrible for Jim. Like I can't even stand it. Whereas I feel like the Park sometimes is it's cringy, but it's a little more palatable almost. I don't know how they did it, but
it's such a big over the top situation that you would never personally be in.
Maybe that's what it is.
I think that it helps you remove a little bit, right? Of, well, I'd never drive a campaign bus with my face on it into a funeral. But
that's true.
A lot of people have the moment of coming into a funeral service late.
Yeah, totally.
And you have that horrible moment where everyone looks at you and you're like, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just going to cross over you. I'm just going to scooch into the people. Okay, thank you. Sorry. Like we can relate to that kind of energy.
Yes.
But because we have this over the top situation with ridiculous denizens of Pawnee, it feels less personal, but it feels horrible at the same time. We can laugh through it though, as opposed to just like crawling into ourselves.
Yes, totally. That's true. That's really true. Plus, like, what's his ass? Charles is so good. Like, he's just so good, and he would be
Idris Elba.
Idris Elba is just like the most best actor ever, and like totally played that ass like boss so well. Oh my God,
so good.
Anyway,
did you watch Hijack? His Apple TV show? Holly, watch it. It's so good.
Idris is in it?
Yes.
Okay.
And it unfolds in real time. It's the length of this flight.
Okay. All right.
It's really good.
Okay. Yeah. I've got so much to watch. It's insane. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Is there anything that you would like to plug at this point in time?
Oh my gosh, so many things. If you are interested in voiceover, come check out Speak Friends Studio. My husband and I do voiceover classes over there. Why should you take voiceover classes from us? Well, that's what we do. In fact, you can hear me in the game Marvel Move right now as Madame Mask. I'm one of the Marvel baddies in it, so it's really cool. If you enjoy podcasts, and obviously you do because you're listening to Holly's, we talk about a ton of other fandoms on mine called Two Filthy Casuals. It's me and Amy Newman, and we have a super fan like Holly come on and talk about a thing they absolutely love. And you get to ask your questions so you can dip your toe in sans judgment, because fandom gatekeeping, that sucks, and we're not about it. So come on over.
Yes, great. And then you're also in the big thing too, right?
Yeah.
Every now and
so
again.
I'm basically Harloff is real sweet and calls me the utility player, where basically I pop onto shows if somebody has a scheduling conflict or is sick or something like that.
Yeah.
And we've hopefully got a few other things in the work. We've got some ideas that are talking to each other right now, is how I keep phrasing it. Our ideas are going out and getting coffee, but it's nothing serious. So, but
Nice.
yeah.
Which
Check
is
me
a
out on
podcast for
Harloff.
those of you that were not
Yeah.
familiar, because I
You
didn't
can-
know what the big thing was before you were on it. So, and it's a great podcast. So I'll
It's
definitely
awesome.
link all of those things in the show notes for
Oh,
everybody
thank
to follow.
you. Yeah. It's hosted by Christian Harloff. You can either watch it on YouTube or you can get it wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much. And don't forget to rate and review Park Pals Podcast. There's also merch up right now if you want a shirt. It's very exciting, and a mug and all those things. So cute. But let us know if you have any other questions or anything that you wanted us to research that we did not get to research, and I will be happy to do that. And hopefully I hear from some other of the guest stars. But I have already started researching Win, Lose, or Draw, the finale, and there are some great guest stars that I got voice memos from. So you guys come back next week and we'll see you then. Thanks so much, and talk soon. And thank you, Kris. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Bye.
Bye.
There's a park and some pals, and there's also therapy too.